are passing to another, how can I say this? Could be irrelevant for some people because um, for example, in Europe, it's not considered uh, important, I guess, because we don't see many trees, uh, perhaps in parks, but I don't know, in Japan as well or China. Uh, but it's very important for the life. Maybe one day we will see if uh, I don't know how to say, how can I say, la falta que nos hacen.
You can say the lack of trees, or how much we will miss them or we will need it. Okay, the
Yeah.
lack of trees or how much we will need them. Okay, very good. Yes, I agree with you, right? They are very important. Not a lot of societies, not a lot of cultures perhaps around the world are taking this into account, at least modern cultures, right? But of course, there are still some people and some cities and places that value and that know the importance of trees. Right? So let's go, please, to watch this video. We're not going to watch the first part. We're going to go to the second part. I think we watched something related to this one, Daniel, I'm not sure. But I want to take a look at the explanation related to trees in cities directly. Okay, the first part tells a story, then some benefits of trees. But now it's going to be important to see how trees actually, okay, affect positively in cities. Okay, so let's take a look at this part, please, and we're going to have conversations about it.
In the 1870s, Manhattan had few trees outside the island's parks. Without trees to provide shade, buildings absorbed up to 9 times more solar radiation during deadly summer heat waves. Combined with the period's poor sanitation standards, the oppressive heat made the city a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera. In modern-day Hong Kong, tall skyscrapers and underground infrastructure make it difficult for trees to grow. This contributes to the city's dangerously poor air quality, which can cause bronchitis and diminished lung function. Trees affect our mental health as well. Research indicates that the presence of green foliage increases attention spans and decreases stress levels.
Okay, up to that part, we have a lot of elements over there before going on. Daniel, what can you tell me about that part of the video related to trees and cities?
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Yeah, the cities are taken as irrelevant. The trees, um, I don't know, it could be for construct houses, buildings, or industries. Um, Also, what else? It depends, or I don't know if this is 100% true, but it shows us how the emotions or the means mindset min, mindset mindset change. I forgot the word, but that's what I wanted to say.
Good. You can, the word is okay, but it's only the pronunciation is going to be the mindset. The
Mindset.
mindset. Good. Yes. Yes, that is correct. Now let's listen. We're only going to go part by parts, Danielle, because you're right. We take trees as irrelevant sometimes, at least the way these cities have been developing, right? I think that nowadays they are starting taking this awareness, right, of the importance of trees, and they are starting some projects, right, to have cities which have the same percentage of trees and green foliage, right? And
Hmm.
same percentage of buildings. But let's take a look. They are going to develop that later on. Okay, here we're going to play one more time, please, this part, only New York, and you're going to tell me this case, okay? Only the case of New York, Daniel. Let's
Okay.
listen to just this part.
Manhattan had few health of its citizens as well. In the 1870s, Manhattan had few trees outside the island's parks. Without trees to provide shade, buildings absorbed up to 9 times more solar radiation during deadly summer heat waves. Combined with the period's poor sanitation standards, the oppressive heat made the city a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera.
Okay, so that's an example, right? What happened? Perhaps nowadays it's not like that anymore, but it was like that, right? In that place. So, what can you tell me about that part? Only about that city, Daniel?
Well, I didn't know about that type of virus. Well, it showed us how was in 1980s in New York, when they only had um, some trees outside the city. Um, yeah, it it showed us how the radiation, because the sun uh, improves or gets higher. Um, some people got affected by that. Mm, what else? And yeah, I think that's all.
All right, thank you. Let's get some elements, some important elements here, Daniel. For example, what happens in terms of temperature, Daniel? What happens in terms of temperature when a city doesn't have trees? What happens to the temperature?
Well, the temperature increase, and yeah, also the video show us how the buildings got like very hotter or hot. Um, I don't know if those produce the radiation on only the sun, but yeah, it affected to all the city.
Okay, yes, that's correct. And actually, the solar radiation is going to be absorbed by the buildings. Okay, let's take a look at this part. I'm going to play it. It's over here. Let's listen and let's read to this part.
Without trees to provide shade, buildings absorbed up to 9 times more solar radiation.
Okay, so that's very, very important. Okay, so without trees, right? Because the trees give what? This shade, the trees shade, the shadow, right? They don't allow the solar radiation, right, to go to the building or to other places, right? But without trees, this is what happens, right? These buildings absorb, if they don't have trees to give them shade, they absorb up to 9 times, right, more solar radiation. And that's going to have effect in terms of temperature, as you were saying, right? Let's keep going.
During deadly summer heat waves. Combined with the period's poor sanitation standards,
Okay, so here it's not only, right, the lack of trees, right? It's not only the lack of trees, but it's that the lack of trees plus poor sanitation standards, right, at that time. So it's a combination of a lot of elements that are going to produce a lot of diseases and a lot of problems.
the oppressive heat made the city a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera.
Right, and you have cholera over there because under those circumstances, right, that type of temperature, those poor conditions in terms of sanitation, right, that's going to allow viruses, right, to expand and spread. Okay, but that's the first part. We're going to go now to Hong Kong, but I don't know if you have any final questions or comments before going to this one, Daniel.
No, teacher, a lot of new words for me.
Good. That's great. But do you have any questions about the words? More or less, is it clear how to use them, or is it understandable?
Yeah, it's very descriptive, so I think it's clear.
Okay, good. Let's keep going. Now, we're going to do the same, please, Daniel, but we're going to talk about now Hong Kong. Okay, let's listen to this one.
Bacteria like cholera. In modern-day Hong Kong, tall skyscrapers and underground infrastructure make it difficult for trees to grow. This contributes to the city's dangerously poor air quality, which can cause bronchitis and diminished lung function.
Okay, that was Hong Kong. It's a little bit shorter, but there's a lot of very interesting information and a lot of interesting vocabulary. So, what can you tell me about this city, Daniel?
Well, I'm going to use my words. Uh, it shows us how the ground can't produce sufficient I don't know if oxygen or another type of chemical, but so they cannot consider or no cannot make plants growing. Um, it's very difficult for them. What else? Yeah, I think that was the explanation.
Good. Yeah, it's related to that, and also to the buildings. So how do you call, okay, what's the name? Perhaps you can recall. What's the name to a building or to a building that is very, very tall? Daniel, what do you say? How do you call a building that is very tall?
Wow, I don't remember the word like edificio.
And even in Spanish, there's one word, and you say rascacielos.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
And in Hong Kong, you have a lot of these big buildings, and they have a specific name. All right, and it's going to be this one. We're just going to play the audio.
Kong, tall skyscrapers and
Okay, that's
Oh,
the name.
skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers. Okay, so because of those tall buildings, there's no sun. Okay, there's no sun getting to the ground, and because of the pavement, right, because of the buildings, there's no ground in which plants can grow, as you were saying, right? But it's a combination of what? Tall, very tall skyscrapers, okay, pavement, a lot of buildings, and not ground, right? Not ground in which plants can grow. And that's one thing. Let's turn on the captions, okay? This is the way you write it. Skyscrapers. Then you have underground infrastructure. And also because you have underground infrastructure, it means that you cannot grow things on the ground because down below you have more structure. Okay, but let's keep going. There's a lot of interesting vocabulary as well.
underground infrastructure make it difficult for trees to grow. This contributes to the city's dangerously poor air quality.
So this is also very important, right? Of course, that's going to contribute, right, or contribute to the air quality. And of course, we know that big cities, very big cities, they have poor air quality, right? That's another one to contribute dangerously.
Which can cause bronchitis.
Okay, and this can be really interesting. We're going to finish with this one, but this is a very interesting word, okay? Bronchitis. Bronchitis, right? That's related to the lungs, right? To the lungs. And also here you have another disease related to the lungs, diminished lung function. Okay, so it means that you have problems breathing, right? You cannot breathe very well. You have problems with your lungs because of the air quality. Okay, let's listen one more time to the pronunciation.
Which can cause bronchitis and diminished lung function.
All right, so there you have some negative consequences. We're going to keep working, not now, but in the next part, we're going to see very well what's the benefits, all right, of having trees in cities in terms of mental health, but also in terms of your body, right, your overall health. And also we're going to take a look at what they are doing in cities now, okay, projects for 2030, 2040, 2050, to improve, all right, air quality and to improve the connection with trees. That's it for now. I don't know if you have any questions about these words or these contents, Daniel. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's okay. Thank you.
Good. There you go. So we're going to finish here. Please, as always, I'm going to ask you to fill out the survey, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, teacher. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, now with you, Larissa. How are you, Larissa? Is everything okay?
Hello, teacher. Yes, I'm okay.
Great. That's great to know, Larissa. So, Larissa, we're watching this video, a different part of the video, but let me know if you watched part of this video with me before. It's about trees, okay? Trees and the importance that they have. Did you get to see this video with me before, Larissa? Let me know, please.
No, I
No,
don't.
right?
I didn't.
Okay, so let's take a look then at the first part with you. All right, in this part, we're not going to look at introduction. In the introduction, we have a story. Okay, but the most important thing here, Larissa, is the benefits. Trees have benefits for cities. and for humans in general. And before going to the video, Larissa, I want to ask you, do you believe that trees are important and why? What do you say?
Yes, they are very important for for the oxygen.
Good, it can be the oxygen, it's okay, oxygen.
Yes,
Okay,
and they clear the air.
good, very good. Yes, that's the very well known characteristic of trees, right? That they purify, you can say, right? They purify the air, they clean it. And yes, right, they give or they produce, you can say, they produce oxygen. Good. Okay, but we have a lot more benefits, and this is what we're going to learn today. Okay, let's pay attention. They are going to mention, Larissa, at least 4 or 5 benefits. First, I'm going to play everything. Okay, it's going to be like 1 minute or something like that, even less. And then we're going to go parts by part. Okay, let's listen to this part, please.
Trees have always been an essential part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Roots help prevent floods while reducing the need for storm drains and water treatment plants. Their porous leaves purify the air by trapping carbon and other pollutants, making them essential in the fight against climate change.
There you go. So they mentioned, right, not only 1 or 2, but they mentioned more benefits of trees, right, in cities in general, for us, for human beings in cities. So let's take a look. All right. Now I'm going to play only the first benefit and try to remember as much as you can, Larissa, and you're going to tell me that repeating the words, or you can use your own words. Okay, let's pay attention to the first benefit.
Always been an essential part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere.
Okay, there they mentioned like the first benefit or the first set of benefits or characteristics of trees, Larissa. So, what can you tell me about that?
They act like a sponge, I think. They absorb the water of the storm.
Very
And
good. And after that, there's a next process. What happens after they absorb the water?
Storm
Mm, no, I don't hear.
Okay, let's try to guess. For example, when it absorbs, right, the water, what can be the opposite process of that, Larissa, in the inverted way? What can happen with the water after it's absorbed? What do you say? For example, how do clouds are formed, Larissa? How does it rain? Right? To rain, the water evaporates. Right?
Yes.
Water evaporates and it goes there. So, what do you imagine then is the next thing that happens here after the water is absorbed?
Mm, I don't know. The water help uh, la tierra. How we say?
You can say the ground or the
Yes.
soil or ground.
Yes, the soil.
All right, good. Yes, it gives nutrients. It also feeds the tree, right? But also, and let's take a look at this last part because you were right, right? They act like a natural sponge, absorbing storm water runoff before. Okay, now this is the second part, Lisa. They release it back into the atmosphere. Okay, so it's like a cycle. The water goes down, the trees absorb the water, the soil, right, the roots, they absorb the water. But after, okay, after feeding themselves, they release the water back into the atmosphere. Okay, so it's a process like a circle, as I told you, right? So water first go down, right? It goes down and then it goes up again. All right. I don't know if you have any questions about these words before going to the next benefit, Larissa.
Yes, the word releasing.
Uh-huh. To release means a lot of things can be produced, can be to make free or to let something go. Okay, for example, if you have a lion, okay, if you have a lion in a cage, the lion is locked in the cage. If you open the cage, okay, if you open the cage and you let the lion go, you are releasing the lion. Okay, so that's to release. First, it's absorbed and then it's released. Okay, it's
Like
free.
in Spanish, liberar.
Liberado, it's yes, that's the closest in this case. Okay, liberar. There is another word, but now to free, liberar, okay, to free is the best option.
Okay.
Great. So that's the first one, okay? It absorbs the water, but after that, it releases the water back into the atmosphere. All right, so that's the first, actually, yes, the first benefit, okay? Because that's not going to let the water to accumulate, right? Now, let's keep going. Let's go to the next one without captions.
The atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins.
Okay, there are given more explanation about that. So let's listen one more time, please. This is very interesting.
The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins.
Okay, so what do you say about that one? They are not just mentioning one, but at least 2 or 3 benefits. Okay, so what can you tell me about this one?
In this part, I think they talk about the the water in the soil and the nutrients and toxins, creo, I think.
Correct. And what happens with those toxins? What happens to those ones, Larissa? What is the role of trees or soil with those toxins? Do they produce? Do they produce? Do they create? Do they eliminate? What do they do with those toxins?
I think they had to clean maybe that toxin, eliminate the toxin.
Okay, good, very good. Let's take a look one more time, okay, this time with captions, Larissa, because actually we have a lot of benefits. You're going to look. What you're saying is right. The water is going to be there with trees and the soil, and it helps, okay, eliminating the toxins. But there is something also at the beginning that is very, very important. Look at this. This one over here. So the webs, right? Do you know what's a web? For example, you know a spider, right? Do you like spiders, Larissa?
Not very, not
Okay.
really.
Okay, so spiders, they produce webs, right? And you have spider webs in the corners of some rooms, right? Those are webs, right? You recognize the webs. So these are webs of trees. I don't know if you can see them, Larissa. It's very small. Let me make it bigger. But these are roots, and these are the webs of the roots. Okay, these are the roots, and these are webs of the roots. Okay, as you can see, it's similar, right? That's why they say webs. So the webs of their roots, you also know what's roots. These are roots. Protect against mudslides. So what's a mudslide? Here, look at here. What can happen here, Larissa? This is like a hill, a mountain, and something can happen here to the house. So what are they preventing? What are they protecting? What is a mudslide? How can you explain that?
Mm, I like mm, and I don't know how I say like colinas. Or what?
Yes, hills are colinas, right? Hills. But what can happen in hills? Okay, what can happen in hills when it rains? What is the danger? What is the danger? I don't know. Where do you live, Larissa? In what city do you live?
Santa Cruz.
Okay, then I don't know if you heard, but some years in Cochabamba, and this happens a lot in La Paz, there was a mudslide in Tiquipaya. And there's always mudslides in La Paz.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the roots of the trees, okay, they protect against mudslides because the ground is going to be hard and there's not going to be a mudslide. Okay, I don't know if that helps understanding what a mudslide is.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so trees, that's why you don't have to cut the trees, right? Por eso no tienes que cortar los árboles when you are in a hill or a mountain, en una montaña o una colina, because they protect, right, against mudslides. So that's the first one, okay? That's the first one. Let's finish at least this one. Give me 1 second, please. So that's one. Then they have more, or we have more, sorry. The next one says the following. While, okay, at the same time that they are protecting that against mudslides, they allow soil to retain water and filter out toxins, right? So what is a synonym of filter out, that is in this case? What do you say?
The tree catch the toxin.
Good. And besides that, what else? It catches, good, it catches the toxin. And what else? What happens with that?
And that um, I don't know, and the water is clean to the soil.
Okay, good, correct, exactly. And also a synonym of filter out is the word that you said before. To filter out something is to eliminate, right? Or to take it away or to take it out from a component, right? In this case, they are cleaning the water, they are cleaning the house, right? Or the soil and the water by eliminating or filtering out the toxins, right? So up to that part, I don't know if you have any questions. As you can see, this is the word also for ground, Larissa, right? The soil. Do you have any questions so far to finish this part? Let me know, please,
No, teacher, in this part, no.
Okay, good. But again, let's remember to close this one. You can talk about these benefits, absorbing and releasing water, right? That's one of them. Then you have preventing or protecting against mudslides and also eliminating or filtering out toxins, right? And finally, well, we have one more. We're going to talk about that on Thursday. But the last one is the one that you were telling me, right? It purifies the air, right? And it produces oxygen. That's it then, Larissa. Let's finish here. We're going to continue working on this video on Thursday. But right now, please, down below, you can find the survey. Let's answer those questions, please. And let me know when you do it.
Okay. Okay, teacher, I'm done.
Okay, great. Thank you for being here. Have a good night and see you tomorrow.
Thank you, teacher. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, now with you, Paola. How are you, Paola? Is everything okay?
Hi, teacher. Yes.
Great. That's great to know, Paula. So today we are doing something well, interesting with this video related to trees. We are learning and we are going to learn about them. So let's try to talk about it first, Paola. What do you think about trees? How important do you think that trees are in cities and why, Paola? What do you say?
I think it's important because they purify the air.
That is correct. That's the main benefit, right? They purify the air. That is correct. And what else? What other benefits do you think that trees have in cities?
Mm, maybe you can enjoy the nature and also the environment.
All right. Yes, actually, that's an implicit benefit, right? And that's correct. You can enjoy nature, right, and the environment. And yes, it's always good for your mental health, right? To have trees, to have nature. We need nature, right? To be healthy, we need nature in a certain way. So good. Those are some benefits, right? Purifying the air, and also it helps to our mental health, right? Because humans need nature and contact with the environment. But now, besides those ones, we have at least 4 or 5 extra benefits that we are going to learn today. All right, first I'm going to play all the benefits, Paola, and you're going to try to tell me everything that you remember about that. Okay, so let's play. Let's pay attention, please, and then we go one by one. Here we go.
Part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Roots help prevent floods while reducing the need for storm drains and water treatment plants. Their porous leaves purify the air by trapping carbon and other pollutants, making them essential in the fight against climate change.
Okay, so those are some benefits, right, that trees, give us in general. So what do you remember about those benefits, Paula? Try to tell me everything you remember first, please.
Okay, they purify the air and eliminate toxins.
Yes, that's correct. They eliminate the toxins. What else?
Mm, they help to not change the climate. It's not climate. The weather.
All right, I think it can be related to that one, to the weather, the temperature, a lot of things. That's correct. But it's related to something else besides only the weather. Paula, for example, what happens when it rains? What is the benefit or what are the function of trees? Okay, what are the functions of trees when it rains, Paula? What do you see? For example, in this picture, what are they trying to show? What do you think are benefits here?
Mm, they clean the environment, so you don't have pollution.
Yes, that's related to the last one, right? And it's correct. They clean the environment, and it can be in the air and also in the ground. So what you're saying is correct. And they mentioned that in the third benefit, I think, and in the last benefit. All right. But here they mention a function very specific. All right. So I'm going to play only that function, okay, only that benefit. And let's try to get the words. All right. They do something very specific with the water that comes from the rain. Okay, so let's listen to this.
Crucial part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere.
Okay, so that's the first one. That's the first function or benefit. What can you tell me about that?
The trees act like a sponge, so they absorb the water to the ground.
Very good. That's correct. They act like sponge, right? Like a natural sponge. And what happens? There is a second part to that one, Paola. After they absorb the water, what is the second thing that happens?
I'm not sure.
All right, let's listen. That part is hard because it's said very quickly, okay? Listen only to the last part, okay? After absorbing water as a natural sponge, and blah, 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 rain. And after that, they set the second step.
Crucial part of successful cities. Trees act like a natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. Before releasing it back into the atmosphere. Before releasing it back into the atmosphere.
All right, so what do you say? What is the second step after trees absorb the water?
To release to the atmosphere.
Good, exactly. Very good. They release it, right? And we covered that word, right? You remember that word, to release, to make free, okay? To let go. So they release that water back into the atmosphere. Okay, so it's a two-step process, right, Paola? It's a two-step process. First, the water goes down. The trees absorb the water like sponges, right, or like a natural sponge. And after that, they release the water back into the atmosphere. Okay, let's take a look at the words. And here they use a preposition. That's why they say releasing with ing. Okay, so trees act like natural sponge, absorbing stormwater runoff before releasing it back into the atmosphere. All right, so as I told you, right, a two-step process. It goes down, it's absorbed, and it's released. And that's a benefit, right? Because you don't need these elements in cities. The trees absorb the water, right? I don't know if you have any questions in this part, Paola, before going to the next one.
No, it's clear, teacher.
Okay, let's go to the next one then, please. This is the second set of benefits. Here you have very interesting benefits in this part, Paola. Here we go.
It back into the atmosphere.
Here.
The webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins. Webs of their roots protect against mudslides while allowing soil to retain water and filter out toxins.
Okay, so that's the second part. And there you have at least, okay, 2 or 3 benefits just in that part. So what can you tell me about that part, Paola?
Eliminate toxins and retain water. I think these two.
Okay, good. Yes, they are part of this explanation. That's correct. So those are 2 things that they mentioned, right? Eliminating toxins, that's correct. And also it retains water, that's also correct. All right. Now, let's try to understand the words. I'm going to tell you some words, but let's understand this by looking at this. For example, what is the name of this part of the tree, Paola? How do you call this?
No, I'm not remember, teacher.
Okay, good. It doesn't matter, right? I'm going to tell you because you have to keep those words in mind because I'm going to play it again and you're going to listen that they are going to use these words, all right? So these are roots, okay? Roots, R-O-O-T-S, okay? R-O-O-T-S, roots, okay? These are the roots of the trees. Now, if you see the form, the shape, right? It's similar to a spider web. Do you know what's the spider web?
Oh, okay, yes.
You know, right? Even a Spider-Man, right? It has a spider web. And if you have spiders in your room, in the corners, you have the spider webs. Okay, so these are the webs of the roots. Okay, webs of the roots. They are part of the trees. Okay, you see the webs. And these are the roots. So one thing, okay, keep in mind those 2 words, okay? Webs, roots. And also, in what city do you live, Paola?
Cochabamba.
Okay, so in Cochabamba, some years ago, there were mudslides in Tiquipaya, okay? Mudslides in Tiquipaya. When the ground goes down when it rains, right? And it destroys the houses, it destroys everything,
Yeah.
right? That's a mudslide. Okay, mudslide. So roots, webs of roots, and mudslides. Okay, have that in mind. And with that in mind, you're going to tell me what's the benefits. Okay, I'm going to play it once again. Only the first part.
Into the atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides, while the webs of their roots protect against mudslides. The atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides.
Okay, so that's one of the benefits. What's the benefit that they are mentioning there?
They say protect, but I didn't understand the next word.
All right, and what protects? What's the beginning? At the beginning, they are mentioning some of the words that I told you. Listen.
Atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides.
So what protects? What protects? What's the first word that you listen, Paola?
Protect the mudslides?
Against. Okay, against means contra. All right, and what? What protects against mudslides? ¿Qué protege contra eso? What protects against mudslides, Paola? What do you say? It's at the beginning. Two elements.
Atmosphere. The webs of their roots protect against mudslides.
Okay, if you remember, this is the part that they are mentioning, right? So what protects against mudslides?
The webs?
Good, exactly. The webs of the roots, of their roots. Okay, so it means that this element, part of the tree, this is another benefit, Paola. These roots, okay, the roots, they protect against mudslides. Because if you have roots, the ground is going to be solid, right? There are not going to be mudslides if you have trees. That's why, right, many things happen in Cochabamba and La Paz, because people chop down or cut down trees. They don't have trees there. They cut the trees to build houses, right? So the ground is weak. So when it rains, you have mudslides. But if you have trees and you have webs of trees, you are not going to have mudslides, right? It's going to protect against that. All right, so you have those words, Paola. We're going to be finishing here, but let me know if you have any questions about those words, please.
No, teacher, is clear.
Okay, good. Let's have that in mind, please, Paola. We're going to continue working on this video on Thursday. All right, we're going to keep learning about trees and also what happens in cities. And it's important to keep that vocabulary in mind. All right. Before leaving, please, Paola, as always, I'm going to ask you to go down below and to fill out the polls so that we may finish the conversation.
Okay, teacher, is done.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a good night and see you tomorrow.
Bye, teacher. See you.
Bye-bye. See you. All right. And finally, I'm with you, Wilson. How are you, Wilson? How do you feel today?
Hello, teacher. I'm fine, teacher.
Great.
But I have a little question. The in the web, I couldn't program. ¿Cómo se diría programar?
You have to say, if you want to say it's better reservar, you have to say book. I couldn't book, like a book.
Yes, I couldn't book a meeting. I don't know why.
All right. Sometimes it's because I don't know. At what time did you try to do that, Wilson?
Today, 4 or 5. I can't remember.
Okay, it's weird because yes, usually the web, okay, not always, but usually the rule, according to management, is that students should book the conversation, if I'm not wrong, until 4:30. Okay, sometimes they leave it open afterwards, and you can book your conversation at 6:30, all right? But usually it's only until 4:30. I don't know if that was the case, all right? And if it was not the case, Wilson, perhaps there was a mistake. Sometimes some students make mistakes and they book conversations with other teachers. Okay, they shouldn't do that, but sometimes they do. All right, and sometimes when they do book conversations in other courses, the one of the students is not able to book that conversation. Okay, it should be only for today. I'm going to find out what happened, Wilson, but don't worry. All right, we are going to be in the attendance list and everything is going to be okay, but I'm going to see what happens so that you can book the next conversation without any problems. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm just in case, all right, looking at the calendar because I have everything is updated in the calendar here on my cell phone, all right? And here I should be able to see the name of the person that booked the conversation. Yes, and I'm right, okay? Here there is Sarai Ramirez, okay? I don't know that person. And Sarai Ramirez is from 6:45 to 7 o'clock, okay? But she's not my student, okay? So she made a mistake. All right,
Okay.
I'm going to let management know about that so that in the next conversation it's not going to happen. All right.
Okay, thank you so much, teacher.
Good, you're welcome. There you go. Now let's take advantage of this time, Wilson. With you, we're going to take a look at this. Okay, this is going to be like a challenge, but I know that you have the skills, all right, to understand this part. This is a video about trees, okay, and why trees are important for cities. Okay, but before playing this part of the video, we're not going to watch the beginning, all right? Only this part with you. I have a question for you, Wilson. Why do you think that trees are important for cities? What do you say?
What is trees, teacher?
The trees, right? The trees, I'm going to write it just in case. We're going to spell it is T-R-E-E-S. Okay, tree or
Okay. Yeah.
so there you go. Why? Why
Okay,
do you
yes.
believe they are important?
Because they give us oxygen, and uh, I don't know if the trees are important to the earth, to the earth, because without them we just had a lot of inundations, and the earth is not solid, is less solid, I think.
Very good. I think that's really interesting. Even in the previous part, okay, of this video, they talked about that. Let's use one word instead of the word that you were using, all right, inundations. It's better if you mention this word, okay, a flood. All right, flood. So you can talk about flood or floods, that it refers to that, okay, the accumulation of water, the big accumulation of water in places where water shouldn't be, right? And it causes damage. So good, all right? You have a lot of benefits that comes from trees, okay? Now we're going to take a look at some of those benefits by seeing, all right, what happened in some very big and important cities like New York and Hong Kong in general. Okay, first I'm only going to play New York, Wilson. Let's listen to this.
More solar radiation, shade outside. 1970s, Manhattan had few trees outside the island's parks. Without trees to provide shade, buildings absorbed up to 9 times more solar radiation during deadly summer heat waves. Combined with the period's poor sanitation standards, the oppressive heat made the city a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera. In the 1970s, Manhattan had few trees outside the island's parks. Without trees to provide shade, buildings absorbed up to 9 times more solar radiation during deadly summer heat waves. Combined with the period's poor sanitation standards, the oppressive heat made the city a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera.
Okay, so that's the New York's case. What can you tell me about that one? And what's the connection with trees, Wilson?
Well, first the shape. Trees give us shape, and without them, the radiation increases.
Good. And what's a consequence? What's the problem with radiation? And what happened specifically in New York?
Well, the build absorb that solar radiation, and because they have not shape, and um, then he explains that increases the a bacteria, but I can't remember its name.
Great. Okay, very good, right? So because of those conditions, right, created by temperature, radiation, there is going to be more possibility to get, right, a certain type of virus or bacteria. So good. Only one thing. Let's remember these are two similar words, okay? Two similar words, but it's going to be different as shape or shade, right? So which one do you think it's in this case, Wilson? Is it shade or is it shape? What do you say?
I think it's shade. Is
Okay,
shade.
okay, good. Because shape, right? I'm going to turn the captions in this part. They are going to talk about shadow, right? And when they talk about shadow, they talk about shade, right?
Yeah.
So without trees to provide shade, then the thing that happens is this one is it's really interesting. Buildings, right, absorb, I'm going to say that in present, okay, absorb up to 9 times more solar radiation, not okay during the whole year, but during deadly summer heat waves, okay, but it's a lot, right? Buildings absorb up to 9 times more solar radiation. So they absorb that, and of course that's in combination with what? Poor sanitation standards.
Sanitation. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So it's not only one thing, but it's the lack of trees, right? La falta de árboles, the lack of trees, temperature, the period of the time in the year, right? The season, and also the sanitation standards, right? So at least 3 elements, 3 or 4 elements, but of course trees are very important over there, right? Because they can help prevent this. But all those elements are going to produce what? This consequence, right? It's going to be a breeding ground. What is a breeding ground? A place where these elements can grow, can reproduce, right? That's a breeding ground, a place in which you can grow, in which you can reproduce. And it's usually used with bacteria or animals, right? So a breeding ground for bacteria like cholera, right? And you know that cholera, many years ago, it was a very dangerous. It's still dangerous now, but it was very dangerous before, right? I don't know if you have any questions about this vocabulary, Wilson. Let me know, please.
No, I didn't know what was breeding ground.
And breed, you know, also breed is, for example, the breed of the dog, right? A breed can be, I don't know, in Spanish, Chihuahua, right? But breeding, right? Breeding is to raise. Breeding is to give conditions to grow or to reproduce. Okay, and even they can breed dogs. And if you breed dogs, you reproduce the dogs. All right, that's breeding. And that's why here breeding ground for bacteria, it means that it has all the conditions for the bacteria, sorry, to reproduce and to spread. All right, that's the idea behind it. So let's do one more thing, please. We're going to take a look at one more part of the video, Wilson. But before that, please explain one more time this part about New York and try to use these new words.
Okay. First, without trees, we have not the typical shade, and the buildings absorb up 9 times. 9 times. I can.
It's okay. It's okay. Up to 9 times of what? Solar radiation, you can say.
Yeah, solar radiation, and that's with a combination, the season, the solar radiation, and I think that's ¿cómo se diría ese tiempo, esa época, teacher?
It depends. You can say just that period of time, that moment of the year, all right? But usually period of time.
Okay. And that in that period of time, they have poor sanitation and
good sanitation or sanitary conditions.
sanitary conditions, and yeah, a combination of all of that is a breeding ground for bacteria.
Exactly. Very good. Just that one in the pronunciation, instead of E in that word, is only E, like bacteria. Or like
Bacteria.
Bacteria. Exactly. Good. Very good, right? For all bacteria, right? But mainly one bacteria in this case. Do you remember the name of that bacteria?
Corolla.
Cholera, right? Cholera. Exactly, right? Like in Spanish, like cólera, right? Cholera.
Okay.
Right? That's the word. Here is written different because it's in English, right? But this one is cólera. All right, the cholera. Good. So there you go. Okay, only one more part, please. This is going to be now Hong Kong. Okay, let's listen to this only one time, and you're going to try to tell me everything you get. So here we go.
In modern-day Hong Kong, tall skyscrapers and underground infrastructure make it difficult for trees to grow. This contributes to the city's dangerously poor air quality, which can cause bronchitis and diminished lung function. Modern-day
Okay, let's do it one more time because we have interesting words here.
Hong Kong, tall skyscrapers and underground infrastructure make it difficult for trees to grow. This contributes to the city's dangerously poor air quality, which can cause bronchitis and diminished lung function.
Okay, so that was Hong Kong. What can you tell me about that one, Wilson?
It's difficult, but the ground is more weak. Is weaker than without trees. Without trees, the infrastructure gets down, I think.
That can be one thing, right? Actually, that's not something that is going to happen here specifically, but you're right. Without trees, right, the structure or the soil, right, the ground of the soil is weaker, and you're right. But that's going to be some things that, for example, happen in places with mountains or with hills, right? And you're going to have mudslides, and the ground is going to be destroyed and so on, right? But here, more than that one, okay, because of this one, we're going to turn on. But first, how do you call a building that is very tall, Wilson? How do you call that type of building in English? A very tall building.
I don't know, teacher. I think it was building.
A building, but one type of building is going to be, in Spanish, you say rascacielo. All right, rascacielo.
Yeah.
In English, it's going to be skyscraper. Okay, so what happens? In Hong Kong, you have a lot of skyscrapers, a lot of tall buildings. And because of that, the sun cannot get to the ground. Okay, and also, all right, also they have a lot of underground structures like subways. Okay, subways. And because of that, of course, they cannot grow plants, and they don't have the conditions to grow trees or to grow plants. right? So that's going to be the thing here, okay? Very tall skyscrapers, underground structures, and the ground doesn't have the condition to grow plants. And that's why they are going to have a lot of negative effects. Okay, let's see this very quickly. Tall skyscrapers, okay, this is the word, skyscrapers, underground infrastructure, it makes it, right, it makes it difficult for trees to grow. It contributes to what? To poor air quality, right? In Hong Kong, the air quality is very, very poor, and it's hard to breathe, right? To breathe with TH, right? It's hard to breathe. And
Yeah.
because of that, right, in Hong Kong, you can see a lot of bronchitis, okay? Bronchitis, and also other diseases with lungs, okay? Diminished lung function is another disease in which you cannot breathe well. Okay, so you have problems with your lungs, pulmones. All right, so that's what's happening in Hong Kong, okay, because this is modern Hong Kong. Let's do the following one more time, please, Wilson. Using these words, please first let me know, do you have any questions about these words or the pronunciation or the meaning? Let me know, please.
No, just underground building is correct.
Underground can be buildings, but usually you talk about infrastructures, okay? Underground infrastructures. Or you can have also underground buildings, all right? But again, it's more common if you talk about infrastructure.
Infrastructure, okay.
Exactly. So let's use then those words, please. Wilson, how can you explain the situation in Hong Kong?
Well, in Hong Kong, they have a lot of skyscraper, skyscraper, and yeah, it's correct, skyscraper.
Close, just that E is going to be more like A, so it's going to be skyscraper, craper.
Ah, craper.
Correct?
Well, the skyscrapers, mm, uh, they they are taller. They are the tallest buildings, and um, the sun, the it's correct if I call sunshine, if I say sunshine, or
Yes, it's sunshine, right? It's like a rayo de luz. It's possible, okay, sunshines, but you can talk about the sun in general, but it's not incorrect if you say the sunshine.
okay. Well, the sunshine cannot get to underground to ground, sorry, to the plants, and so they have a lot of underground infrastructure, and the combination of that, uh, the the people, uh, they have a lot of problems with the lungs, like bronchitis, bronchitis,
Bronchitis.
bronchitis, and yeah, they usually use mask. I see in the TV all the time.
Exactly, that's correct, right? So in these places, they have to use masks because of the poor air quality, right? They have a very poor air quality, right? And yes, that's right. So you have bronchitis, and the other one is not as important, but you can remember it's going to be diminished lung function, right? Another type of disease related to lungs. But good, all right, that's it. And just in case, I'm going to show you one more time the word, right? Skyscrapers. Okay, skyscrapers. There you go. So that's it. We're going to finish here, Wilson. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing today. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, I learned so much today.
Great. That's very good to know, Wilson. But also, we're going to continue working on this video. All right. In the next part, we are going to see the positive aspects of having trees and what cities are doing for long-term projects, okay, for 2030, 2040 in the future to make cities more environmentally friendly. Okay, so that we don't have these problems. But that's it for today, please, Wilson. As always, I'm going to ask you to fill out the survey or the poll. Let me know when you do it, please.
Okay. Mm. Yeah, I've done.
Great. Thank you very much. Then I'll see you tomorrow for the next class. All right. Have a good night, Wilson.
Okay, have a good night, teacher. See you.
Bye bye. See you.